Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Please let me know before starting the section that I am audible and visible to you or not. Please tell me in chat box that I am audible and visible to you or not. Please, or you can use the reaction, the thumbs up reaction to show that everything is okay. Okay, great. So today we are going to start with a new topic, that is the evolution. Yes, the evolution, right? We know that we have arisen or we have evolved from the apes, but before starting this evolution, let's discuss some question. Okay, so our first question is, what is mutation? Your options are change in DNA, change in protein, change in body, or change in carbohydrate. You can give your response through the chat box as the polls are not valid right now. So you can give your answer in chat box. So what is mutation? According to you, what is mutation? Change in DNA, change in protein, change in body, or change in carbohydrate? Okay, see, as we have already studied in the genetics section in term 1, that or in your, you have already studied in your school in a term 1 exam, that the mutation is a change, right? And that change is taking place in our nuclear material, right? So our nuclear material is DNA. So now we can say that the change in DNA is a mutation, and these mutations are the reason for introducing variations, right? These mutations are responsible for the introduction of mutations. Okay, how this variation, how this mutation become beneficial to us, let us discuss. So today we are going to study the theory of origin of life, how the life evolved, how the life make up. Okay, then the evidence of these evolution, theories of evolution, and a brief account of evolution comprising the human evolution. Okay, so starting with the evolution, as you know, evolution is an orderly change, right? When we are moving towards something and when we are introducing some changes one by one, and something, that orderly change or the sequential changes, right? The sequential changes are known as evolution, and these sequential changes are never like that we have introduced the one change, then we eliminated it, then we introduce the another one. No, these sequential changes get accumulated. Okay, so the accumulation of changes, or we can say accumulation of variations, leads to the evolution. Okay, so this evolutionary biology, now we are going to study about the evolution, how this earth is formed, how we are evolved. Now we know that when the earth was formed, we were not there. We have not seen the earth. So we have studied this thing. We have studied how the earth has formed and how we are going to evolve and how we have evolved. So the study of evolution or the formation of earth is known as evolutionary biology. Is it clear? So the origin of evolution always starts with the origin of universe. Okay, so before making a life, we have to start with the place where a life can exist. Okay, so for the existence of life, we need a place, and that place is our universe. So here we know that our universe was formed 20 billion years ago. The universe was formed 20 billion year ago, and to satisfy this and to explain this, we have a theory that is known as the Big Bang theory. Okay, the origin of universe takes place 20 billion years ago, and that was explained by the Big Bang theory. The Big Bang theory says there was a cosmic matter present. There was a presence of cosmic matter which leads to the huge explosion. इस cosmic matter में बहुत जोरदार explosion हुआ. Okay, so this huge explosion leads to the evolution of hydrogen and helium gas. जब explosion हुआ तो क्या निकला? Hydrogen and helium gas. Now, when this hydrogen and helium gas evolve, they start accumulating. Okay, the hydrogen and helium gas start accumulating, or they get so sorry. Due to the internet issue, I lost the connection. Okay, so we were talking about the origin of universe. As I said, the universe evolved. The origin or the universe made 20 billion years ago, according to the theory, which explains it. And the theory's name is Big Bang theory. The theory said there was a cosmic matter present, and with the time, this cosmic matter get exploded, and this huge explosion leads to the evolution or release of the hydrogen and helium gas. As the time passes, these gas started accumulating, or they get precipitated by the gravitational force. Okay, so when the gravitational force applied on hydrogen and helium atoms or these gases, they get condensed, right? And when they condensed, when they start condensing, then the expansion of universe started. Okay, so this is written here that the universe started with the cataclysm that created space and time and all the matter and energy that has ever existed in the universe. So universe का जो makeup है, universe का जो origin है, वो भी किससे हुआ है? एक energy से, right? Then this is how the Big Bang theory explains it. Now we are moving towards the origin of Earth. After the origin of universe, we have the origin of galaxy. Okay, anyone wants to tell me what is the name of our galaxy? You can give your answer in chat. Very good. A Milky Way galaxy, right? It is a Milky Way galaxy. Okay, so before formation of Earth, we have the origin of galaxy, and this origin of galaxy was explained by a theory that is nebular hypothesis. Okay, that was explained by the nebular hypothesis. This nebular hypothesis says there is a sun in between. There is a presence of nebula. Nebula is sun here. Okay, which is a energy source. What is energy source? This sun become an energy source. So whatever energy is emitted by this nebula, they get to the celestial bodies which are present in that universe. Okay, so we have a nebula in the center of the universe, and that nebula is sun. So the sun is emitting some energy. So when that energy is emitted, those energy is absorbed by the celestial bodies, and these celestial body is none another than our planet. Okay, so planet have absorbed that energy and come into the life. Okay, so through this our earth is also formed. So the formation of earth takes you can say 16.5 or 15.5 billion years. As I've said, or as the Big Bang theory said, the universe was formed 20 billion years ago, and the earth is formed 4.5 billion years ago. So the formation of earth after the formation of universe take around 15.5 billion years. Okay, so when the earth is formed, there was no atmosphere. So the earth of that time, when no atmosphere was present, it was known as primitive earth. Okay, so the earth with no atmosphere was the primitive earth, and this no atmospheric earth has the reducing conditions. The atmosphere of that primitive earth was completely reducing. Okay, and this reducing condition contains no oxygen, no ozone layer, nothing was there. So what happened, some volcanic eruption takes place, a huge volcanoes was there which get exploded, right? So those volcanic eruption leads to the evolution of some gases such as water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide, ammonia. Okay, so this eruption has taken place, so many gases have evolved. As I said, there was no atmosphere. So due to the no atmosphere, the sun rays which were emitting the UV rays, these UV rays broke the water molecule into H2 and oxygen. So what happened, due to the action of UV rays, the water molecule got broke up. Okay, so this leads to the evolution of hydrogen and oxygen molecules. Now these oxygen molecules get accumulated. Okay, they started reacting with each other, they started accumulating with each other, leading to the formation of ozone layer. Formation of what? Ozone layer. Now we got our protective shield. Okay, so after this whole process, finally we got our protective shield, which is preventing us from the UV radiation. Okay, so UV rays is doing prevention from UV radiation. Okay, now as the time keep on passing, the passing time keep on decreasing the temperature. Okay, now temperature started decreasing. So as the temperature decreases, it caused the condensation. It caused the condensation of water vapor. So what happens when water vapor condense? What happens when water vapor condense? They will form the clouds. Okay, so the first time cloud was formed there due to the condensation of water by the decrease of temperature. Now these clouds started raining. Okay, so there we have the rainfall. After some time we got the rainfall. As the earth has no smooth surface, there were so many pits and holes in the earth surface, so those holes were get filled with that water, and still the temperature was there high. So the water which get accumulated, the water which get accumulated in the holes were lately known as the hot dilute soup or the prebiotic soup. Why we are calling it a prebiotic soup or hot dilute soup? Do anyone have any idea why we are calling it a hot dilute soup or a prebiotic soup? Because water was the first region where first life originated. Okay, water was the first place where first life originated. So that is why we have called that accumulated water a prebiotic soup or the hot dilute soup. Okay, so now we are moving towards the origin of life. अर्थ बन गई, अर्थ पे पानी भी आ गया, अर्थ पे एटमॉस्फेयर भी क्रिएट होना शुरू हो गया. नाउ वी आर मूविंग वन स्टेप फर्दर by the origin of life. So this origin of life is proposed by several theories. Okay, and the first theory was given is theory of special creation. The theory of special creation was given by the father Soares. Okay, the theory of special creation was given by the father Soares, and he says that the life and the non-living things which were present on earth are just created by a supernatural power, that is God. That means nothing happens on their own, it was created by the supernatural power which exists. Okay, that statement was given by the father Soares. Okay, then next theory which come up was the theory of spontaneous generation, that is theory of abiogenesis. It says that the life which is staying here is coming from the dead and decaying matter. Okay, the life come into existence from the dead and decaying matter. Now this theory of spontaneous generation and theory of abiogenesis both are given by the two different scientists. Okay, if we talk about first the theory of abiogenesis, that was proposed by Aristotle. Okay, that was proposed by Aristotle. As he said, everything comes from the rotting meat and flies. अब rotting meat भी तो कहीं से आएगा. So this spontaneous generation, the theory of spontaneous generation was explained by the Jean van Helmont, Dr. Jean van Helmont. He says that the creation of life is take place from a dirty shit. So both of them has explained the same thing, but from the different objects. The Aristotle said it is coming from the rotting and decaying object, whereas the Helmont says it was coming from the dirty shit. Okay, so now your question is, who proposed the theory of abiogenesis? Who proposed the theory of abiogenesis? Your options are A. Rosalind Franklin, B. Watson and Crick, C. Aristotle, and D. Confucius. You can give your answer in a chat. Who proposed the theory of abiogenesis? Can anyone give answer? See, we have just studied the theory of spontaneous generation. Okay, that is also the theory of abiogenesis. As I said, the theory of abiogenesis was given by the Aristotle. Abiogenesis. Okay, which proves that life is coming from rotting and decaying matter, whereas the theory of spontaneous generation, we have combined both the theories because both the theories are explaining the same thing. So that spontaneous generation was given by the Dr. Jen Van Hamilton, who gave the statement that life came from the dirty shit. Okay, so now the answer became C, Aristotle. So the proportion or the proposal of theory of abiogenesis was given by Aristotle. Next we have the cosmic theory, or we please keep your mic mute. Aniket, please keep your mic mute. Okay, so cosmic theory, that is theory of panspermia. It is also known as theory of panspermia. It says the life is came up from the extra terrestrial objects. Okay, that is, life is not itself originated on earth. Instead, it came from another terrestrial object. That is why it is also known as the theory of extraterrestrial or extraterrestrial theory. So it says that the life came from the other planet. Life came from the other planet on earth in the form of seeds, spores, and sperms. Okay, so this theory was given by the Arrhenius. The theory was given by Arrhenius, and he said the life never evolved on earth. Instead, it came from the another planet in the form of seeds, spores, and sperm. So till now we have completed the three different theory. The first was the theory of special creation, which was given by the father Soares. He said the life was generated by the supernatural power, that is God. The second theory, which was the theory of abiogenesis or spontaneous generation, given by the Aristotle and Dr. Hamilton, where this says the life came into existence from the dead and decaying matter or from a dirty shit. Then the third, the theory which is we are seeing is the theory of panspermia, which is also known as cosmic theory, and it was given by the Arrhenius, who says life never evolved on earth. Instead, it came from the other planet in the form of seeds, spores, and the sperm. Okay, now for this theory of spontaneous generation, which was given by the Aristotle and Hellman, there was a experimental proof, and the experimental proof was that they have taken some round bottom flask, okay, having a narrow neck. In that round bottom flask, he taken a broth. So it was a stew, it was a broth. Now that broth he boiled. Initially he taken the broth, then he boiled that broth. Now the broth was kept for some days, right? As you can see here, the neck is very narrow and completely bent, so there is no air, no presence of air. So due to which nothing happened in a passing time. But when again he done the same experiment, but this time he removed this narrow neck. So he see that after some time microbes start appearing in this broth. Okay, why this happens? Because there was a presence of air. Okay, now the broth come in contact with air. Okay, and this experimental, ये जो प्रोसेस था जिसमें कहा गया था कि जो हमारा लाइफ है वो किससे आई है, एक रॉटनिंग सब्जेक्ट से. इट वाज कंप्लीटली डिसअप्रूव्ड बाय दिस लुइस पैस्चर. So this experiment was given by Louis Pasteur, which disapproves our theory of abiogenesis. Clear? So next, the last theory is the theory of biogenesis, which was given by the Reddy, Spallanzani, and Louis Pasteur. So the theory is given by the three different scientists: Louis Pasteur, Spallanzani and Reddy. Now they said the life in which we are staying, or the life from which we have evolved, is came from pre-existing life. It came from the pre-existing life. Okay. But they were unable to explain the origin of first life. उन्होंने ये तो बता दिया कि जो पिछले लोग थे या पिछला जो भी आपका ऑर्गेनिज्म था उससे नया ऑर्गेनिज्म बना, but they were unable to explain that how first organism was formed. Okay, so after that we have the final theory. The theory of chemical evolution came with an experimental proof, right? And the experimental proof itself given by the Haldane and Oparin. Okay, given by the Haldane and Oparin. He says that life came from inorganic material. Life came from inorganic material such as methane, ammonium, water molecules, sugars, proteins, and nucleic acid. And they all are formed under a specified condition. Okay, how? These inorganic molecules such as your methane, ammonia, water, hydrogen, carbon dioxide molecules get combined and leads to the formation of biomolecules. And those biomolecules form the cell become tissue formed organ become organ system, and then organ system lead to the formation of organism. Okay, तो सबसे पहले थ्योरी आई ए बायोजेनेसिस, बट जो हमारी बायोजेनेसिस की थ्योरी है दैट इज द केमिकल इवोल्यूशन, इट वाज केम विद अ एक्सपेरिमेंटल प्रूफ. अब इन्हीं की थ्योरी को हमें एक्सपेरिमेंट दिया किसने? माइलर एंड यूरे ने. Okay, so Myler and Urey have given the experimental proof. They have created an experimental setup. On the very left side of the picture, you can see that flask, that experimental setup which was created by the Myler and Urey. They initially created a reducing environment. As we have discussed earlier, that the primitive earth has reducing environment. So they also created a reducing environment with complete vacuum because no atmosphere was there. Okay, after that they started providing that particular atmosphere with the methane, ammonia, and hydrogen gas. This ammonia, methane, and hydrogen gas, that is your CH4, NH3, and hydrogen. They were supplied in this experimental model in a particular ratio, that is 2:1:2. So 2 parts of methane, 1 part of ammonia, and 2 part of hydrogen gas was there. In this mixture of gases, he provided some water vapor. Along with that, it started passing a high voltage current. That high voltage current is of around 75,000 volt. Okay, so 75,000 volt high current or electric shock was passed in that environment. And he also kept the temperature of that experimental setup high, around 800 degree Celsius. So when he done this thing, after 18 days of doing all this stuff, he seen the first molecule was appeared. Right after 18 days, the first molecule was appeared, and those organic molecules which formed were amino acid, and those amino acids were alanine, glycine, and aspartic acid. The amino acid first formed were alanine, glycine, and aspartic acid. Now we have the amino acid. We know that amino acid will lead to the formation of protein, and they further form the sugars, nitrogenous bases, and some pigments. So this is how the theory of chemical evolution get in existence, that this is how the origin of life take place. Okay. So the first non-cellular form of life originate 3 billion years ago, and they have the capability to self-replicate. Their body were performing so many metabolic functions that they are able to replicate. Okay. So now we are moving towards the evidence of evolution. Till now, each and every theory is clear to everyone. You can use a thumbs up reaction, which is given to you. Is everything clear to everyone? Okay. So now we are moving towards the evidences. अब किसी भी चीज का evolution हुआ है, हम evolution के पीछे भाग रहे हैं, तो उसके पीछे कुछ evidence तो चाहिए, तभी तो हमें घर दिमाग की बत्ती जली थी कि हाँ कुछ तो हुआ कि जो हम लोग हैं, या कुछ तो हुआ जो ऐसे फीचर्स हमें मिल रहे हैं या ऐसी चीजें हमें मिल रही हैं जो कभी हमने नहीं देखी. सो देयर आर सेवरल टाइप्स ऑफ एविडेंसेस. Okay, the first is paleontological evidence. These are the hard parts or the remains of an organism. If we are talking about the paleontological evidence, they contain the hard part or the remains of organism. Then we have morphological and anatomical evidences, that is the structure and the functioning of an organism. Okay, then we have the biogeographical evidences, which shows how the human has evolved, how the organism has evolved in different terrestrial regions, in different lithosphere. Okay, then the biochemical evidences, embryological evidences, and the evidences of evolution, which was proved by the natural selection. So we have lots of evidence. Now we are going to talk about each and every evidence in a detail. So first we are going to talk about the paleontological evidence. As you can see in down, there are so beautiful pictures were there, right? So these are the paleontological evidences. These are the remains or the impressions of the organism which get buried. Okay, ice age ka sabko pata hai, when ice age came, dinosaur get buried in the earth. So till now we are able to find out the bones and the impressions of those buried organisms. So all those are the paleontological evidence. So we can say the paleontology is the study of fossil. The fossil which we are getting in the form of rock, because they are hard enough and we are getting it from the earth crust. So fossils can also be a written documentation of evolution, which we can see as paintings which are present in the caves. Okay, which was done by some the pre-existing organisms, or the we can say our ancestors. Next, now if we move to this, we have there is significance. So the study, to study the phylogeny, that is the evolutionary history of the race history, we have taken this horse evolution. As you can see, there is a difference in the limb structure of that horse. The lower one is coming from the Eohippus. The Eohippus, we can say the ancestor of horse, which was found as a 60 million year ago. Now some changes are again introduced in that Apohippus limb has the 4 what fingers, or you can say finger like structure. But after 40 million year ago or 20 million year ago, we gain another limb structure or remain, which is Mesohippus. Then we have the Meryhippus. So as you can see there, you can see the evolution. The number of toes get reduced with the passing time. Okay. Next, we have the Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx was found to be the connecting link between the reptiles and the bird. Why we need to study the connecting link? Because they give us an idea how the organism has evolved from one type of species to another type of species. Okay, so connecting links are the very important evidences. They provide us the idea how an species arised from the other species. Okay, so the best connecting link we have found till is Archaeopteryx, which is a link between the reptile and birds. Now these are favorite dinosaurs. Okay, so these was the existing animal because we have found their complete structure in a buried form. We have found their whole skeleton, so we can say yes, these organisms was staying when the human come up on earth. So to study this geological period, as the time passes, new era appear. So we have to analyze the fossils and the layers of the rock. As you know, as the time passes, the soil itself get accumulated and forms different layer. So to study or to get the knowledge or information of each and every era which has passed before our existence, we have to study all the given evidences like the rock pieces, the fossils, and the bone pieces. Now we are moving towards the morphological and anatomical evidence. Morphology, that means the structure, the outer structure. Anatomy, that is internal arrangement. You are aware of these terms. Morphology, that is outer structure, and anatomy is the internal structure or the makeup of something. So these structural comparison among the organism gave us another evidence that how the organism have evolved. So they are grouped into two categories. They can be homologous or they can be analogous. So let's start with the homologous. The homologous says the structure remain the same. Here we have the same structure, but the function are completely different. Functions are completely different. Like we can say, we can take the bat wing and our hand. Upper our forelimb and bat's forelimb can be a comparison or can be a good example of this homology or this homologous organs. Another example for this homologous structure are the thorns and the tendrils of bougainvillea and cucurbita. Both of them are the modification of stem. One is for the support and one is for the defense, but they are both arises from the stem, right? So they are having the same structure, that is stem, but they are performing the different function. One is taking support and another is making defense system. Okay, then in animals we can compare the flaps of the penguin and the dolphin, right? Next we can compare the analogous organs. Now analogous organs says we have the different structures. Here we have the different structure, but the function we are performing is completely same. The function we are performing is completely same. For this, we can compare the wings of butterfly and the wings of bat, right? The bat wing, or we can say the forelimb of bat, is similar to the human limb, But if we are comparing it with the butterfly, now you can see there is a huge difference between their structure. But both the organisms are performing similar function. Both of them are using it for the flying purpose, right? Both of them are using it for the flying purpose. Clear? Next example for this is in plant is the sweet potato and the potato. Sweet potato is the modification of root, whereas the potato is the modification of stem, but both of them are used for the storage of food, right? Both of them here are used for the storage of food, right? So डिफरेंट स्ट्रक्चर बट सिमिलर फंक्शन, दोनों अलग अलग चीजों से आए हैं. स्वीट पोटैटो रूट से आया है, पोटैटो स्टेम से आया, बट दोनों काम क्या कर रहे हैं? सेम, दैट इज स्टोरेज ऑफ फूड. ओके, नाउ देयर वी हैव अनदर एविडेंस ऑफ कंजर्विंग और कन्वर्जेंट एवोल्यूशन. कन्वर्जेंट यानी कोई चीज क्या हो रही है? कन्वर्ज हो रही है. जब कोई चीज बाहर से एक ही जगह आए तो हम उसको क्या कहते हैं? कन्वर्ज होना, which you have also studied with the light chapter. When the light rays get focused at one point, they are converging, right? So here also we can see the evidence of convergent evolution, such as our land reptiles and fishes. They are not related to each other, but they have evolved from the same structure. They have the embryonical evidence also. Next we have the biochemical evidence. The biochemical evidence came from the genetic material, that is the DNA. If we went to compare the DNA in most of the organism, and the most of the part of the DNA remain similar, only there is a few percent, either 1 or 3% difference can be found. Okay, so this similarity or this look-alike structure of DNA says about the common ancestry. Now we have the biogeographical evidence. This biogeographical evidence give us the adaptive radiation, right? And it was given by the Darwin. इसका तो जो श्रेय जाएगा वो पूरा का पूरा किन्हें जाएगा? डार्विन फिंचेस को. Now it was seen, or we can compare another example for that. It was given by the Alfred Wallace. Alfred Wallace said, when the earth was formed, there was a single landmass present. Okay, when earth was formed, there was a single, let me change the color. Okay, there was a single land piece present. This single land piece was known as Pangea. Okay, so Pangea was there. So as you know, this is land. So we have so many plates. We have pictorial plates, and the plates keep on moving. They have a movement. So due to the movement of those tectonic plates, this Pangea get broke. Okay, and it broke into the two pieces. It broke into the two pieces. One form the Laurasia, and another form the Gondwana Island. Okay, so what happened here? The continental drift has taken place. The Pangea, a single landmass, got broken due to the movement of tectonic plate. Now the tectonic plate further got continental drift and lead to the formation of 7 continents. Okay, lead to the formation of 7 continents, and it was given by whom? The Alfred Wallace. Okay, then the idea of adaptive radiation, or the theory of adaptive radiation, was given by the Darwin through his finches. The Darwin moves for the voyage by a ship, that is HMS Beagle. Okay, so now, so the Darwin went on a 5-year voyage. Voyage सबको पता है, that is a traveling on a sea. So he went on a 5-year voyage through a ship, that is HMS Beagle. The name of that ship was very interesting, Her Majesty ship. HMS stand for Her Majesty ship. HMS Beagle 5 years की journey करी, in which he he reaches to some group of island. He reached to a group of island which he knew called the giant tortoise. Okay, there he found the giant tortoise. So he called this group a Galapagos island. Okay, he called this land a Galapagos island, which was constituting several islands, 14 large and 7 small islands. And these several islands, the Galapagos island is a combination of several islands. It was comprising of small island. And when he moved, when he went on each and every island, he found there was a small bird present. Okay, a small bird is present on all the continent, on all the every island. But there is difference. There is a difference in the beak shape of these birds. How? Because on each and every island, the food which the bird was eating is different. In some, there was insect, in some, there was fruit, where somewhere seeds were there and somewhere cactus was there. So you can see it in this picture. So, due to their food habit, वो जो खाना खा रहे थे, each and every finch, that small bird has a different type of beak. Okay, so this gave us the idea of adaptive radiation. So adaptive radiation is the evolution of different species in a geographical area starting from a point. So our adaptive radiation is a good evidence of the okay. Next, this convergent evolution is also given by an example, that is the comparison between the placental mammals and the Australian marsupials, right? If we compare all these animals with the given one, it gave us the idea of adaptive, let me change the color. It gave us the idea of adaptive radiation. But when we keep on comparing this placental mammals with the Australian marsupials, it gave us the idea of, or it gave us the good examples of convergent evolution. Okay. So next we have this embryological evidence. As I have said, we arise from the same ancestor. It was given by the embryology. As you can see here, we have the pictures of some embryos, fish, reptile, bird, and human. The early stage of embryo of all these organisms are almost same. And it was proposed by the Ernst Haeckel. Okay, who proposed this by embryological evidence? The Ernst Haeckel. He observed all the embryos of vertebrates, and he also found they have some common Okay, so we are talking about the embryological evidences. So this embryological evidences was given by the Ernst Haeckel. Okay, and he says all the vertebrate organisms have the same embryonic features. That means each and every organism in its embryonic stage has the same feature. But when these organisms keep on developing, okay, when embryo get developed into fetus and then infant and then adult, its structure get completely different. The structure get developed into a completely different organ. So the evidence of common embryo, that means the origin of an organism from a common ancestor, was provided by evidence of presence of this vestigial gill slits. Yes, the embryo of each and every organism has the gill slits, which is present just behind the head, which are present just behind the head, but only now they are functional in fishes because the rest of the organism move towards land. Everyone become terrestrial. The reptiles, the birds, and the mammals all become terrestrial. So their gill slits become non-functional, whereas our these gills remain functional in fishes due to their presence in aquatic environment. Apart from that, we have the vestigial organs, right? The wisdom tooth, the bones, appendix, the vestigial appendix, which is present in the small intestine, which is present in the corner on mediated membrane, which is present in our eye. It is also a vestigial part, right? So a vestigial structure is an anatomical structure which is present in our body, but it is of no use. We have left their uses. Sabko pata hai that vestigial appendix is used in animals who are herbivores because they took a good time for the digestion, right, of cellulose. But now we are not eating the uncooked food like grasses and trees and barks. So that is why we doesn't require this vermiform appendix. Same with this nictitating membrane. This membrane protects the eye inside the water, right? When the amphibians enter inside the water, the nictitating membrane completely covers their eye so that no sun particle or soil particle can enter in the eye and damage it. Okay, so the nictitating membrane is also a vestigial part which is present at the corner of our eye. Apart from vestigial structure, we also have atavism. Atavism. What is atavism? Atavism is reappearance of ancestral characters. As you can see, this child is having a small tail. Okay, this child is having a small tail. So this small tail, we do not have any use of this tail because we are not staying on a tree. हम पेड़ों पे थोड़ा कूदते फिरते हैं, तो अब इस टेल का कोई काम नहीं है, बट हमारे एंसेस्टर के पास थी. सो जब भी एंसेस्टर का कोई कैरेक्टर, whenever the character of our ancestor reappears in future generations, that is known as atavism. Okay, that is known as atavism. So you can see this person is completely look like our ancestor. Okay, so it gave us the resemblance of the previous human, right? So these are the some examples which give us the evidence of evolution, and the solid evidence of evolution is given by natural selection, and the natural selection is very strongly explained by the two examples. industrial mechanism, which and the development of antibiotic resistance pest and bacteria. Okay, so these are the some evidence which are providing us the idea that we have or we have some ancestors from which we have evolved due to our changing habits and the changing environmental condition. And with the changing environmental condition, nature also make its selection. That is known as the survival of the fittest. To keep that strongest organism existing in the future time, each and every time nature makes its selection. Okay, so this is all for today. Now we'll meet in next class. Till now you have to go through your NCERT line by line and start doing the questions related to this portion of a topic of your module. Is it clear to everyone? Okay, great then. So we'll meet tomorrow at 10 a.m. In the next class, we'll discuss the theory of the biological evolution and the further human evolution. हमें भी तो देखना है कि हम लोग कैसे इवॉल्व हुए. ओके, सो हम लोग कैसे इवॉल्व हुए ये पता चलेगा कल. ओके, so till now, bye and enjoy your day. Now students, you can leave the meeting. You're most welcome.